was the most adored and celebrated goddess in all of ancient Rome? Who did emperors commission colossal statues of and entire temples dedicated to? And whose mysterious origins are shrouded in myth and legend? You might be surprised by the answer. But in this video, we're going to find out who she was, what her cult was like, and why her legacy has endured through the ages. So get ready to meet the one and only Roman goddess, Venus. Welcome back to our channel, where we bring you new videos every week delving into the lore and legends of the ancient world. If you enjoy this type of content, please consider liking and subscribing to show your support. Now let's meet the Romans' goddess of love and beauty. We typically think of love and sex when it comes to Venus, but that was only a small part of what she represented. In fact, in Roman paganism, Venus was known primarily as a fertility goddess. Her worship was widespread, and she had many attributes and symbols associated with her. She was the goddess of not only love and beauty, but also prosperity, fertility, and victory. Romans celebrated her as the embodiment of everything good in life, including peace and harmony. Her symbols were equally powerful. Doves symbolized her gentle nature, and they were often sent as tokens of affection in her name. Seashells represented both her birth from the sea foam and the feminine figure. And roses, which came to be strongly associated with Venus, symbolized her connection to love and beauty. Now you may be wondering, where did Venus come from? Well, her origins are actually quite interesting. Unlike many Roman deities who were either originally Greek or had unclear origins, Venus had a fairly well-documented genealogy. She was born, according to Roman tradition, in the city of Yavol, although her birthplace was not particularly important in her cult. What was important was her lineage. Venus was the daughter of the Titan goddess Dione and the minor god Uranus. This made her a minor goddess herself, but it also connected her closely to the major gods of the Roman pantheon. Her genealogy also connected her to the Greeks, since her mother, Dione, was a titaness who had been transformed into a goddess during the Titanomachy. It was also believed by some that Venus was identical to the Greek goddess Aphrodite, and many scholars believe that the Romans modeled their goddess after the Greeks. If this is true, then Venus would have been born of the sea foam as well, just as Aphrodite was. And she would have been the consort of Hephaestus, the lame blacksmith god, and she would have been the mother of Eros, the god of love. However, there is no evidence that the Romans worshipped Venus as anything other than a separate deity from Aphrodite. Even though the two goddesses had similar attributes and symbols, the Romans saw them as distinct from each other. In Roman religion, Venus was considered to be a supreme goddess, second only to Jupiter. She was his consort at times, and their son, Cupid, was a prominent deity in his own right. Venus was also closely associated with several other gods, including Mars, the god of war, to whom she was unfaithful at times, and Vulcan, the Roman equivalent of Hephaestus, who forged her various weapons and armor. But what about her worshippers? How did they worship her? Well, that's where things get really interesting. The cult of Venus was one of the most popular cults in all of ancient Rome, and her temples were some of the most magnificent structures in the city. The most famous temple dedicated to Venus was the Temple of Venus Genetrix, which was located on the Palatine Hill, one of Rome's 7 hills. This temple was believed to have been founded by Aeneas, the legendary founder of Rome, and it was considered to be the most important temple dedicated to Venus. Another important temple was the Temple of Venus and Cupid, which was built by the Emperor Hadrian on the site of an earlier temple that had been destroyed by an earthquake. This temple was famous for its beautiful sculpture, including a statue of Venus and Cupid that was said to have been so realistic that people believed it was alive. But it wasn't just in temples that Venus was worshipped. In fact, she was celebrated throughout the Roman Empire, and her cult spread to Greece, where she was known as Aphrodite. In some places, she was worshipped as a nature goddess, and in others, she was seen as a goddess of fertility and abundance. No matter how she was worshipped, though, Venus was always associated with love, beauty, and the natural world. But let's talk about art. How was Venus portrayed in Roman art? Well, that's another area where she really shines. Venus was one of the most popular subjects in Roman sculpture, and her image was used on coins, medals, and other objects. She was typically shown as a beautiful woman holding a flower or a mirror, or she was depicted as a nude goddess emerging from a seashell. Some of the most famous sculptures of Venus include the Capitoline Venus, which is a marble statue from the early imperial period, and the Milo Venus, which is a marble statue from the 1st century AD. Venus was also a popular subject in Roman painting, and her image adorned the walls of many Roman villas and public buildings. She was usually depicted in scenes of love, war, or mythology, and she was often shown alongside other gods, such as Cupid, Mars, and Vulcan. But Venus wasn't just important in visual arts, she also had a big impact on literature. In fact, she was the subject of several Roman poems, including the Amours by Catullus and the Metamorphoses by Ovid. These poems often explored themes of love, desire, and beauty, and they helped to shape the Roman understanding of Venus and her role in human affairs. What about modern times? Is Venus still important to us today? Well, yes, she is. The idea of Venus has had a lasting impact on Western culture, and she continues to be a symbol of love, beauty, and the power of nature. We see her in works of art, literature, and film, and we celebrate her in holidays like Valentine's Day. Even the planet Venus is named after her, and she continues to inspire artists and writers today. So, there you have it. That was our whirlwind tour of the Roman goddess Venus. We hope you enjoyed learning about her origins, attributes, worship, and legacy. Now it's time for you to tell us what you think. What was your favorite part of this video? Which aspect of Venus did you find the most interesting? And what do you think her enduring popularity is due to? Speaking of which, if you found this video interesting, we would appreciate it if you could show your support by hitting the like button and subscribing to our channel. By doing so, you'll not only help us grow, but you'll also stay up to date on all our future content. And now, it's time for us to say goodbye. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of Roman mythology. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories from the ancient world. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the past.